Hello, Guardians. Today is January 6th, 2023. My name's Danfinity, and welcome to Destiny Digest. Thank you guys so much for popping into the show. Happy New Year to those of you who I haven't seen since the last episode. Once again, another slow news week in Destiny 2, what with the TWAB not being available. But hey, next week, TWAB City. We're going there. I think the biggest story of note so far this week has been, according to PC Gamer and a bunch of other outlets, Destiny 2 data miners admit leaked subscription plan was a hoax. Quote, "We trolled everyone," by Andy Chalk. Now, I didn't report on this because I wasn't sure of all the details, but a couple weeks back, it had been quote-unquote data mined that Destiny would be moving to a paid subscription service. Well, it turns out that was garbage. Quoting the article here, the D2 Datamines Discord revealed the discovery of files indicating that Bungie had plans that seemed to have been subsequently scrapped to incorporate multiple types of premium subscription tiers in Destiny 2. According to the article, there was no information on pricing or content, but it was expected that the subscription would be somehow tied into the launch of the big Lightfall expansion, which is coming on February 28th. None of this was true. It was just a giant troll, as admitted by Elliot of the D2 Data Miners Discord, who posted saying, "Was going to just let this keep on going, but since it grew really large and people are actually worried outside of the server, we just wanted to formally apologize and admit that we trolled everyone," Elliot wrote. "This will probably make a lot of people angry, but it was meant to be done non-maliciously." Now, whatever your thoughts on data mining are, it's hard for me not to take that statement with a grain of salt, especially in the past couple of seasons where the Destiny community has jumped on everything, and it seems to polarize both sides. Personally and professionally, if Destiny 2 were to move to a subscription model that was monthly, I'm not sure what I'd do with it. To make content, I'm sure I'd have to purchase it, but I'd probably move away from playing it on PlayStation Plus, that's for sure. I'll link the full article in the notes for the show. But moving on from that, I have a super awesome interview here with Samikat, the Bow Queen herself. Welcome to Destiny Digest, my friend. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I am swimming in it. It is pretty good over here on my side. We're staring down the barrel. Next week is week 6 of the season. We're at the halfway point. You have achieved some pretty cool things in the time that since last time we spoke. I believe you went through and you soloed Spire of the Watcher, blind, flawless, HUDless. Was it on Master?
No, but people keep adding different things to it.
Yeah, all bows. That's the constant that I know of you. It's always all bows. It's always HUDless. It's always flawless.
Yeah, so I have done solo, flawless, all bow, no HUD, every single dungeon. Duality's the only one that I did all of those on the first full clear. Duality was something else. Yeah, but otherwise, for Spire, I had gone through. I do all of the other ones. Well, I do all of them. Day 1. I go in spoiler free, don't know anything, solo with all bows, and I have my HUD on generally until I don't. But I go in and then complete that solo first and then go back for the flawless afterwards. And this time I went through, got it my first time for day 1. So it's the third dungeon that I attempted day 1 of. And I finally got it done in the 24 hours and like 22 something. I think I had an hour and a half left. And then I did it without artifact mods. It's kind of my rule that I do it, all of them without artifact mods, any of the runs, and with exception of like the resist mods, because they're not going to make a huge difference.
Right. Outside of like, there's only one mod that I think probably would have made a difference on that run, but depending on how like your experience grind had been, like it may not have been too beneficial, or you probably wouldn't have had it. It was the
I didn't have it unlocked. No.
Yeah. It was the one for solo. Yeah, solo operative.
I learned the reason why I had decided never to do artifact mods on at least my very first run of solo, my first run of flawless, is because the very first dungeon that I solo flawlessed, I should just say soloed, with the exception of Shattered Throne, that was a murky, weird time in my life. That solo. Okay. But when I really got into dungeons, soloing dungeons, I ended up doing my first solo of Prophecy with Oppressive Darkness. Okay. I don't know if you remember that mod. Very long ago. It just was crazy for void grenades. I could throw the void grenades. It would just do a crazy amount of damage. And that helped me get through it in Prophecy with all those ads just so much faster, so much easier. Mm-hmm. And then when I went back to do it again without Oppressive Darkness, I had to completely change the way I was playing. Yeah. My play style, what I was using, how I used the different perks on my bows. It just made a huge difference. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make it so that I can use the same build going forward with minor tweaks if I want to, without having to rely on seasonal mods. So yes, it puts me at a disadvantage, but in the long run, I'm at an advantage. Right. I'm not relying on classy restoration like a lot of other people trying to go through after Season of the Haunted, duality. Hey, I'm going to solo it. Oh no, I don't have classy restoration. Yeah. So I didn't have to worry about that. Mm-hmm. So what would you... I like to make things harder than they are.
Oh, and we'll be getting to that soon. But so what would you say was like the... What would you say was one of the toughest bits of that dungeon overall in your flawless run? Like, what was it a boss? Was it jumping puzzles and like physics, or was it
the fans?
The fans, yeah.
The fans. Yep.
That
was definitely single-handedly sweaty hands. The fans.
Well, so did you try to like jump through the fans, like as they swiped, or were you hopping through the little vents on the side?
So I was trying to get to the vents, but I had to time it correct. Then I had a couple panic supers in there. And on one of my attempts for flawless, I got through the first set of fans. Yeah. And I was like telling chat, hey guys, just be careful. FYI, there's a fan on the top. So when you jump down in there the first time, don't jump up or it'll kill you. Yeah. So I get through that and I was like, oh, thank goodness. I only have one more set of fans to go into. God. I end up jumping up into the fan.
Do as I say, not as I do.
I'm just like, oh my God. People are like, oh, you're really good at this dungeon. And I'm just like, yeah, totally.
Sure.
I'm great. I'm awesome, guys.
On what run was that?
I don't remember. The fans got me on at least 3 of those attempts. Maybe more.
I know in my attempts for solo stuff, folks in my chat are just like, yeah, just keep going through it until like you get the other encounters down, and then you can like get the patter of like the rhythm going. Do you find that helps you out in your runs?
Completely.
Yeah.
Yep. I know exactly what's going to happen, what I'm going to do, how I'm going to handle it. But because I've done it so many times, I could walk through it, doing the dishes, talk my way through it. Like I can just picture it. There was one time that I was in the Strike playlist at some point before I had completed Duality, and I was just trying to talk through it with chat, and I know exactly how many steps I need to take in a certain area, where things are going to spawn, what type of shot I need to do, what bow, what I need to take advantage of, where an orb is going to fall for becoming charged with light. I mean, I do it so many times. I know almost exactly what's going to happen. The hardest part by the end of it is either a bug, which was the case in Duality, or in the case of Spire, it's me. I am the boss at the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I think Spire was probably the easiest one because there was less of a chance that I would screw myself up.
Right. It feels so. There are a few things we've had a few activities this season, and Spire. I went in on day one with Rev and Shield Maiden, and we ended up doing Master on that first day. But it was
a fantastic job, by the way.
Well, it was a challenge, man, and it was like it was tough. It was a lot of fun, but I just remember it. Large portions of it feeling there's kind of an emptiness in it that I don't think I felt since like Shattered Throne. I think Shattered Throne had a lot of emptiness in it too. When you're just going from like one place to another, do you feel? Does that make sense, or am I?
A lot of just walking in between.
Yeah, a lot of traversal.
Not as. Yes.
Yeah, and this one is
that was Pit for me.
Yeah, this one it felt instead of it being like kind of from a here to here, like from point A to point B, it was like point A all the way up to point B and then B down to C. But yeah, and I also kind of felt that in like the Operation Seraph mission with it feeling kind of empty and you're just kind of roaming around. Where would you place this? Where would you place Spire on, like, in a list of either difficulty or like favorite runs?
Oh, I was so afraid that you were going to ask me this.
It was bound to happen, Sammy. It was bound to happen.
I know. Gosh, this is just the hardest thing. I sit up at night honestly wondering how I'm going to answer this. I'm not even joking, literally. I've thought through it. As far as difficulty of the dungeons go, when you're comparing all 6, there's so many factors. I can't say which one is necessarily overall the easiest, and I can't say overall specifically what my favorite's Prophecy, but like what my lower, the ones I didn't enjoy as much.
Yeah.
I don't hate any of them, but there are certain encounters that redeem some of the dungeons. So if I were to go through what my favorites are, I wouldn't be able to tell you what my top 2 are.
Okay.
Even. But I can tell you per encounter what my favorite encounters were.
Okay. Why don't we go top 3 encounters?
Cube Room.
Cube Room?
Hands down, Cube Room in that Hex something in Prophecy. Favorite encounter probably in the entire dungeon. Or not dungeon. Well, yeah, in the dungeon, probably in the entire game. That tied up there with the Vault encounter in Last Wish.
Okay. So
favorite encounter just overall. I would say I definitely, this pains me to say, this isn't number 2, but I think it's top 3. Chamber of Suffering and Pit.
Okay.
I have a very hard time saying that because I very, very much do not like Pit. It would be hardcore, like below F level. Okay, so pretend that there were 12 dungeons. It would be the 13th dungeon.
Gotcha.
And how much I enjoy it. The only redeeming thing is Chamber of Suffering. And that's the one with the totem.
Mm-hmm. Where you have to kind of find a rhythm with that room when you're solo. Like,
yes.
What was your strategy in that room?
Don't deal with the ads.
Yeah.
Don't deal with the knights. Don't deal with anything.
Just go back and forth.
I like the ones that are crazy. I shoot very, very few ads in that one.
Mm-hmm.
I crutch on invis.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a bad player. I can only do things with Void Hunter. I crutch. But yeah, I basically just, and this is where I walk through it. I start on the plate. I have Levy's Breath. I'll go ahead and hit the knight. I will switch over to another bow, hit it again. I will go over there and make sure it's at dot, and then I will use a finish. Sorry, I call it dot for finisher because there's a dot on its head.
Yeah,
it's the only thing when you don't have HUD that you can see on screen. So I get it to dot. Mm-hmm. I go over there, do a finisher, go invis on the finisher, pick up the orb, and then come back, stand on the plate. I'll usually at some point dodge with it. I used Sixth Coyote. Dodge near enemies, at least if I use my melee. Pick the orb back up on the totem, go over to it, dunk the orb, come back, stand on there, make sure I get another enemy to dot.
Yeah.
Shoot the knight, do the dot, run over, kill the knight. And it's just 6 times. I don't deal with the knights up top. Ads are merely there as utility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I can see. Well,
they're only there because I need them to be there.
Mm-hmm. There's that brings me to a question that was asked by somebody on Twitter. New Bold One asked, Leviathan's Breath is one of only 2 bows in Monument of Lost Lights. I have Lemonarch per recommendation from Dan, but Leviathan's only gets mediocre reviews. Is it worth spending a precious exotic cipher on, or better to get something else?
I would 110% say you should have spent the exotic cipher on it first. It's an amazing weapon. And that's not just because it's the only heavy bow and I use it all the time, but it has a lot to it that people don't take the time to really play with or understand. Yeah. People don't understand the feature and the utility that it has. So I think that's why it doesn't have as good of reviews. It's not a DPS monster, but it's not supposed to be. Mm-hmm. One of the greatest parts is it will stagger a boss.
Yeah.
So with that in Spire, I'm able to go ahead, hit the boss. He can't shoot back when he's staggered. I can go ahead, hit the boss, draw again, hit him again. So I'm doing less damage, but there's no chance he's going to hit me if I keep hitting him first. Right. And then with Archer's Tempo, with the Catalyst, if I can get enough crit shots in between, I can hit more arrows, which is great. It's one of the only ways that I can get through solo Lightblade GM on that. Well, I have not gotten through it. People think I have. I have not gotten through it yet. But because the boss can't hit you, he's staggered. You just don't have time to throw another super in there. I know some people say wait on your tether to throw the second tether for a Night Stalker, but you don't have as much time to do some of the more strategy-driven plays, but you make it work. But that stagger is a huge thing. I don't think people realize it staggers with that concussive blast.
Heck yeah. That's right. Yeah, I don't have much experience with it, so I haven't really played with it. Do you find... I just remember it feeling like... it just feels like it's a high-tension bow. Especially, well, and it makes sense with it being in like the heavy spot. Does it throw off your rhythm for other bows when you're playing with it? Or are you just experienced with it enough that it doesn't matter?
I know to expect it and how to play with it. Doesn't throw off my rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because I switch between legendary bows, primary legendary, and then Leviathan's Breath so much. I don't treat it as it's a bow, but I don't treat it the same as I treat other bows.
Mm.
It's a different weapon in a different class. It's the same archetype, same general mechanic, but at the same time, you wouldn't treat a heavy grenade launcher the same that you would treat a special one.
Right. What if it were in another weapon class altogether? What would it more closely resemble? Would it be like more of a sniper, or are we talking like?
I would say it is a class of its own. I mean, it works as a bow. It hits harder, much harder. I think it's because it's a slower draw time that it feels different. It feels heavier. It feels like you have to put a little more work into it, and you have to be patient with it.
You got to get a few more extra muscles going.
Yes, exactly. I don't hip fire it ever. It feels very strange. I don't really hip fire bows at all. But it doesn't throw off my rhythm because I'm used to it. But I can see how people who are not used to bows, it takes a lot to get used to it, and you have to want to. Otherwise, it's not worth the time.
Going back to the top three, so you said Cube Room, you said Chamber of Suffering, and Pit of Heresy. What's number 3?
Oh gosh, I would say probably the Vault Encounter and Duality.
Okay. Huh. Okay. So you're. It's not necessarily like bosses. You enjoy kind of being kind of thrown into the mix with encounter and mechanic more so than the big culmination kind of set pieces. Is that accurate?
Yes. I like it when I'm given a mechanic. I'm given a mechanic, I have to find a specific way to alter my playstyle so that I can get it done. Which usually is not the same as anybody else I know. Yeah. It's challenging. It's usually incredibly chaotic. They're usually the ones that people don't like because there's too much chaos. They all tend to have the same theme to them. Where I got to run around, do something. There's lots of ads. You wouldn't think it's what you would want with a bow, but it requires almost all the skills that I need, that I have in some way.
For you to stay zooming.
Yep.
That's super interesting. Do you find yourself, because I took the privilege of the last time we spoke was on PD on Planet Destiny podcast 309. And we talked about a few things there. Since then, we've had several bows enter into the equation. We have Whistler's Whim from Trials of Osiris. We have the Lunulata 4B. We have the Strident Whistle, Tripwire Canary that came out this season, and of course Hierarchy of Needs that came from the Spire Dungeon. Do you find yourself swapping out to any of these weapons from what you ran previously?
Well, I do not have Hierarchy of Needs.
Okay.
I know some people have been asking me what I think of it. I don't have it.
Gotcha.
So there's my my rating. I don't have it. I'm a little confused by it because we already have a solar exotic bow that requires
Tikus.
hip firing with tracking projectiles. That's solar that has tracking projectiles, and you have to hip fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm a little confused by it, but I don't like Tikus at all.
Yeah.
I don't really like hip firing. I think this one will be a lot more fun.
Yeah.
For hierarchy. I want to like Whistler's Whim. I really do. Went through the whole trials thing to get an adept role. It's not the best role. I probably could go back and do it. I just don't really like how it shoots. And that really just breaks my heart.
Yeah.
The Lunalata, the game hates me. It absolutely hates me. All I freaking want from it is a shoot to loot headstone, and it just won't give it to me. The amount of umbrals that I have tried to focus into those weapons, and it just won't give it to me. Oh my gosh. Bungie, if you're listening, please. Please.
I'd contact my uncle who used to live there, or who used to work there as a janitor, to turn up the RNG for you, but
Thank you.
He got fired for going into that room. So I'm sorry.
Oh shoot.
So that, like, have you used Strident or Tripwire?
I haven't really used much of Tripwire. I've only gotten 2. So bow RNG is not working out for me.
Yeah.
But Tripwire, I want to like it.
Yeah.
It sounds strange to me, and maybe it's just getting used to it. But I have so many arc bows that I like the feel of better, and I don't know if it's because I'm used to those bows. But we'll see once I craft one, if I can ever craft one.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel good to me.
It kind of has the same feeling, like the slab from back in Season of the Arrivals.
Yep.
It kind of has that same feel to it, right?
It does. It's very rigid. Yeah, no, it's very rigid. I don't have to work harder with it. I'm more of like, I don't even know. It's just not my personality. I go by bow personalities. I'm sorry. I know that's weird.
No, I think that makes complete sense. They each have their own kind of vibe to them. And like, yeah, the Whispering, it was Whispering Slab, right?
Yes.
It was Whispering Slab, Tripwire Canary. They both kind of feel the same to me too. And when I've kind of messed around with it, I was like, and I'll never play with it again. And then like just kind of moved on. Cause like out of all of these, I think like I haven't attempted to get the Whistler's Whim. But I have the Strident Whistle. I have an incandescent, or I had an incandescent roll with it. Thanks, Charity. And the Luna
I
Lotta.
love incandescent. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Incandescent's a very solid perk. You know what I've been turning to lately?
Which one?
I think I have been running the trace rifles a lot lately. I don't know.
I haven't run trace rifles in a while.
Yeah, they're real fun now.
Really?
I've been playing around with them a lot. Especially, I got a retrace path that has incandescent killing wind on it.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Oh, it's very cool. It's very fun. It also helps that they kind of remind me of like Hyperion weapons. Or wait, hold on. Yeah, I think it's Hyperion from Borderlands.
Never played
with the well. Oh, well, if you get a chance, they don't have bows in Borderlands. They do in Tiny Tina's though. So if you ever want to check that out, but yeah, I've the Luna Lotta and the Strident Whistle are the two that I've really liked within the past year.
I do like Strident Whistle. I do. I have a hard time because it has the same model as Subtle Calamity. So
Mhm.
it kind of hurts my soul a little bit.
Oh, sweet Subtle Calamity.
My baby. Oh, my baby.
Yeah.
But I like it. Has so many combinations. I wish we could craft it. It took me over 60 strike runs to get an incandescent strident whistle. It's like, oh, it wasn't even that good of a roll at all. But I got it.
Yeah.
I got it.
I'm trying to think of the one that came out during Season of the Risen. Well, we had Fell Teradiddle, which also, to me, kind of feels like that Whispering Slab.
You think so?
It feels a little chunky to me.
It does.
Like,
It
maybe
looks
not
chunky.
Whispering Slab. It looks chunky. It feels chunk. Same for Under Your Skin. I can't get like a good bead on it.
Those two are the ones I run.
Okay.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I have them crafted just perfect. I think I just hit level. Why did I say 70? No, I'm at like 470. Maybe I hit level 470.
Oh God.
Am I Under Your Skin?
That's awesome.
No, maybe I hit level 400. I don't know where the 7's coming from. I think I'm just used to Under Your Skin.
Yeah. I want to like it. I just haven't put the
That's
time
fair.
in.
Mine was more needs to an end.
Mm-hmm.
That was, for me, I needed a void.
Right.
And it was a means to an end. We're never replacing Subtle Calamity, okay? We're not using that language. Terminology's everything here.
That brings me to a question from Andos Dan. What's the best bow and why is it Subtle Calamity?
Because it is. Oh my gosh, I love it.
I think I used that for my Shattered Throne run, and then deleted that for charity too.
Oh, good. I will never delete mine.
Yeah.
Ever. I hit 100K kills on Subtle Calamity.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do it somewhere special, so I did it in the cube room in Prophecy, and then I got a cookie cake and we had a dungeon party. Said happy 100K Subtle Calamity. I'm not even joking.
No.
I have a cookie cake.
Awesome.
So yeah, we celebrated its 100K birthday. Yeah. I have some merch that has the silhouette of it. Says anything but subtle.
Hell yeah.
It's probably an unhealthy addiction.
Well, so it goes, man. So it goes. Once you start putting stuff on merch, that's when you know you got it bad.
You got it real bad.
I'm trying to think of what else here. Yeah. So I ended up getting Hierarchy of Needs on my first run.
Oh my goodness.
Of the dungeon.
What do you think?
I'm very much in the same camp as you. It confuses me. It is a reverse Tiku's, it feels like.
It I mean, I can't say, oh, it is because I haven't. No, but
it just
continue.
It just kind of like I enjoy Tiku's. I like using it for in-game activities when I'm running like GMs and stuff, especially when there's mods for it. But there's a little with Tiku's, there's a little bit of a run and gun that you can go with it, right? I've been making the like whole I've been making references back to it being kind of like the Michael Bay of bows.
How so? I don't know why that feels correct, but I have no idea what you mean.
It's so like everything just blows up with it.
Oh yeah. No, I see that now.
Yeah. So you're just blowing everything up and it's fine. It tracks on its own. Hierarchy of Needs feels like a very niche version of that, where its power fantasy is more of like a, I guess like a sniper almost, like where you would be in a perch, you open that portal and then you're able to get the tracker. It just feels weird to me. I'm not entirely sure if it replaces anything in my kit with it. The story behind it's cool because apparently it's an AI that was kind of segmented off in the pillory, but it's I don't know if I'm a huge fan of it. It's a very strange bow.
The most I hear about it is people asking me what I think about it.
Yeah.
And then I ask, what do you think? And they're like, oh, I mean, it's cool.
Yeah.
And it doesn't go anywhere past that.
Not much deeper. It was exciting to get because it's an exotic and it's like the new exotic. And of course, everybody wants to try it out, right? But I don't know. That's what I'm finding with a lot of weapons this season. I don't know if it replaces a lot in my kit.
I was thinking about this earlier and talking with Chad about it. Like, there are so many weapons that we don't need another arc bow. I already have 3 I use. Like, there are just so many weapons where they're fun to try, but I don't really need more weapons. And I have to remember I've accumulated all of these over the years. So there are new players that don't have the bows that I have. But even like going back, I've been doing random loadout runs of things, which is fun. And I'm getting these old weapons. I'm like, oh yeah, this was really fun. Why did I replace it necessarily? But it's like, how many auto rifles do I need?
Yeah.
Because I'd like to run auto. Guys, I do run more than bows. I do. Okay.
I'm glad that you cleared that up.
I just want everyone to know I do run more than just bows. I actually prefer in PvP running pulse rifles. And I'm going through and it's like, I don't really know what I want this pulse rifle for. Because I do a lot of my crafted weapons off of, okay, where am I going to use this?
Right.
And I'm just thinking like, well, I'll use it in PvP for this situation. Well, I already crafted 2 pulse rifles for that. So what am I doing? I don't know what I want.
Yeah.
I know the only reason I need to craft is because I have all of these deep sight weapons completed, and I need somewhere to put the resonant,
right?
Not resonant.
So it doesn't go to waste.
Yeah, so it doesn't go to waste, but I'm not crafting anything because I don't know what perks to put on them because I already have 3 pulse rifles that I like.
Well, so like I said earlier, I'm now on the journey of like reacquiring my vault, because
that's got to be fun.
It's interesting. It makes me look at crafting a little bit differently than I did prior, because before it was just kind of like a collection thing. But had I not had craftable weapons in the day afterward, had I not had any of those to be able to go back through, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'd have everything that I needed to go into GMs in a couple weeks.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Like, it's interesting. It also like makes me think of the collection as like, I'm kind of targeting what I want now instead of what I can get.
That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah. Because it's like you get like Like the Ikelos SMG. Let's take that for example. I was able to craft that very quickly. I feel like crafting is very easy to do this season, and it just feels like I'm being rewarded more for running the seasonal activity than I have in seasons prior. And so I was able to craft an Ikelos SMG pretty quickly, and so I'm looking at that more for my override solution right now. Even though I have had like more things drop recently that are definitely worth a look. But now everybody's kind of like stressing about like Deepstone Crypt weapons, or at least like the people in my immediate vicinity are kind of stressing about the drop rates for Deepstone Crypt weapons. But I'm not there. Because I feel like the things that I want, I'm focusing on. So like Trustee. I want Trustee so I can have like a good scout. I might put Incandescent on the thing. And
are you going by perks? You want certain perks with a certain archetype? Or are you just going by weapons in general? Like weapon feel or...
I'm going by weapon feel, and weapons that I feel I need to slot in, since I have so few things now. Like I deleted all 600 items in my vault, gone. I just had what was left over on my characters, which was a lot, which is still a lot, but it wasn't everything.
Yes,
and that was pretty stressful.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You are brave, and
it's pixels. It's
part of my life.
It's pixels, and like I enjoy these things, and then if it's for charity, I'll almost do anything. Almost do anything for charity. But or when I was doing it on stream, I wasn't looking at what I was deleting because I think I would have had some thoughts on the day, but it was very much like, well, yeah, guys, just got to delete everything. How's chat doing? Just kept hitting that button over and over again.
Let's just have a chat.
Let's have a chat. Thanks for doing this.
That's not about what's going on in the background.
That whole day had like a weird, fun, like anything could happen vibe to it anyway. But I digress. So yeah, well, when we're talking, another thing that I wanted to talk to you about was difficulty, like difficulty scaling and skill, because the last time we spoke at length, at least on topics such as these, on topics such as Destiny 2, you said that you wanted a harder game. It was like the big takeaway on my re-listen. It was you wanted the game to be tougher. You wanted it to be you were limiting yourself so that you could have the game that you wanted. Going back through and seeing where we are 2 seasons on from our last conversation, do you feel like Destiny is starting to get there with some of the changes that they've made, especially like in Heist Battlegrounds, when you're like 5 power levels below the cap, or like in the Shield mission when I think it's 7 on hard difficulty?
I like that. I do like it where they will cap you. You can't over level. It does make things more challenging. I think it changes how you play. You can't just go in and run and gun everything down. I mean, still at this point you kind of can.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to slow down a little bit. And especially being that, what was it? The Operation Seraph Shield when I was going through it, the first time I did it was with my husband, and we were playing. It was just like, oh my gosh, this is really challenging. And we're not under level or anything. And I didn't realize it scaled. That was just beyond me. I was like, wow, it's really challenging. And then I went through to do it solo, and I was just getting pumped up like, okay, how hard do we want to make this? Because I usually do the exotic missions same as I do dungeons, where I go in solo, blind, day one. Sorry, not blind, spoiler free, day one. And I decided not to do that because I wanted to have the experience with my husband. And I went through later. My next run was solo. And it was so easy. And I don't say that to insult anyone. I know there's a lot of people that thought it was incredibly difficult. But comparatively, it was so much easier than doing it with one other person. And I kind of wish that we'd be able to scale it not just with multiple people, but, you know, we'd be able to choose more than just legend. Like, I want legend, and then I want something above legend, and then I want something above that. And I like that we're capped, but at the same time, I feel like these are things that you can kind of adapt to easily, if that makes any sense at all. I just want something that's going to continue to challenge me.
Right.
I don't know how to word it exactly. I like where they're going. I just don't think it's enough. And I realize baby steps are where they need to go with difficulty. It's hard to change a game that's been around. We're ending year 5 here soon. It's hard to change all that, especially older content that we are still required to play for pinnacle level. But I just want more. I want more from the game. I'm kind of a little bit bored with where we're at with all of the basic things we have, like
the core.
The core, yeah. I want the core to be revamped. I want it to be challenging again. My biggest thing here, gosh, don't stop me if I'm talking too much. But
well, I kind of invited you here to talk.
That's true. That's true. I get really passionate about these things, and I'm trying to like keep my cool here.
Yeah.
In a professional setting. But one thing that I struggle with very much so are GMs and getting GM ready. And GMs are a very touchy topic for me, multiple reasons. But one of the reasons right now is that I have to do a ton of activities I don't want to do in order to get to a point where I can do an activity that I want to do. But because I have to do the activities to get the pinnacles, to get to pinnacle cap, to get the XP, to get my artifact mod up, to then get to a level where I can enter into GMs, and then I'm going to be 25 below.
Right.
And I can't even right now practice for GMs by doing master because I'm too high. So even master content is going to be easier for me. The only thing that changes with master is going to be the master modifier. But the more, so I'm trying to practice the harder content. My ultimate goal, besides solo Lightblade with all bows, is to solo all of the solo flawless all bow no HUD, every single master mission, content, story, things like that throughout the game. But I want to get as low as possible to do it.
Right.
But that means I can't use the things that I want to use for like a GM because I have to have them equipped at a certain level. So
yeah,
the more I play, the easier it gets. And I just don't want it. I don't know the best way to say it. I don't know if there's a solution except for just don't make me level to a point just to get into an activity you're going to cap at because then I can't enjoy the core activities on a higher difficulty because I'm over leveled. I don't know how other games do it. I keep thinking about that. But I was trying to practice Corrupted because that's going to be my first GM I attempt to solo.
Yeah.
And I was going to do it on Master. And, Chat and I were going through my vault. We were going through everything that would work. How do I get low enough of a power level to be as close to 25 under? And I couldn't. My artifact was too high.
Yeah. It's a whole thing.
So in order for me to make it harder, I would have to go back in time and not do anything. Something needs to change.
Or that, what was it? Back in one of the ways that they tried to fix this with difficulty was the, do you remember the Nightfall cards?
I love those. Oh my gosh.
Where you could pick your difficulty.
Goodness, yes. I bring those up. It's so sad because I bring those up and people are like, what on earth are you talking about? And I'm just so sad. And I explain it and they're like, wow, that's a really good idea. I was like, yeah, it was, wasn't it?
It's just, for whatever reason, it caused people to like bounce off the content.
Is that why did they get rid of them?
That's completely anecdotal. It feels like that was something that caused people to bounce off the content instead of what we have now where you have to be this tall to ride the ride. Right?
Yeah.
That way it's the game kind of pushing you away rather than the game. But I don't know. That's a weird allegory. But like it's the game telling you, hey, you gotta do this instead of you kind of challenging yourself.
Yeah.
It feels like to me that they're steering more toward that, where they're trying to get the game to challenge you more, outside of the champion puzzle, which that's a whole other conversation that we could have too, especially with that article.
I don't know if you want me to have that conversation.
Well, we had that conversation in 309. So if if you guys want to hear that, you can go back to BD 309. But so
we don't talk about champions with me.
We don't talk about champions. Well, and there was also the article that came out this week. I believe it was Gamer Rant. Was it Gamer Rant? That was like, we want tormentors to be more like champions. It's like, but
I
why?
lost my cool so bad.
I
I'll
want to know who they're talking to on that one.
Right now, just get this out of the way because people ask me, okay, you want more challenging content? Have you done any of the master dungeons? I have not done any of the master dungeons. It has nothing to do with skill. It has everything to do with champions and pride. I will put that out there right now. People judge me for it. I don't care. If they took champions out, I would be solo flawlessing those babies every chance I get. But I'm not going to limit my loadout just so I can do a master dungeon.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to get that out there. I know people are like, oh, how do you do on master? It's like, yeah, nope, I haven't done it. I haven't even done it with a team because I don't have the patience for it.
Yeah. It's something else. The champion puzzle, I think at the time was kind of needed because like something that's a little missing from Destiny's, something that's missing a little bit from Destiny's formula is like the Pokemon. I mentioned this with Tej last week, but it's like water is strong against fire. Fire is strong against great grass. Grass is strong against water. Right? You have those trifectas, and we don't really have that in the game because I think that would throw a lot of the power structure off when it came to like light abilities and everything. However, they tried to introduce that with the champion mods or with champions, and they're trying to relieve a little bit of the mod structure by adding more exotics that have intrinsic champion mods in them. But we've had them for so long now, and we had them before like the whole the intrinsic exotic thing, that now everybody kind of feels pigeonholed into what they're allowed to bring to the party. And that's a part of the puzzle that I don't know how you solve.
Delete them. No. I figured it out.
Yeah. But like, I liked the Lightbearer Knights. Or like,
Me too.
I like Lightbearers. I think that they are challenging in in-game content. I just wish there were more of them everywhere. I wish you had to confront them more.
Yep.
And I'm hopeful that Tormentors kind of like fill that world boss kind of feel with Lightfall coming soon. We'll see, but that could be a conversation for another time.
Oh my gosh.
So, Sammy, before we get out of here, thank you so much for your time so far.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I love chatting like this.
Heck yeah. It's been a pleasure to have you. You're welcome back anytime. I've got a few questions for you.
Yes.
Yes. So it's Next Gen Evo, Daniel Crazy Wolf J, and Average Destiny 2 player all kind of have the same question. If you could introduce one new bow perk for bows, what would that perk do, and what would it be called?
Dragonfly. No.
Double Dragonfly.
Double dragonfly. 2 dragonflies.
2
Firefly.
whole dragonflies.
It's just a swarm. Gosh, I don't know. I am such a creature of habit that I use a lot of the same ones. I don't know if it's because I'm used to them. A lot of the same perks. Bow specific, I would probably say it would be fun to have something that has to do with how long you can hold an arrow, pulled back, drawn. I know that there's like Archer's Tempo, where, you get a precision hit and then, it gets faster. Your draw time's faster. But I don't think a lot of people realize that some of the skill with bow is making sure that you have a good idea of how long you can hold a draw. I think that it would be really cool, something that would have to do with being able to extend that time. Because some people, at least in PvP, will wear Oath Keepers to be able to have infinite draw. Either it extends the amount of time that you can hold a draw, or the longer that you hold the draw, you get more damage. Like it doesn't proc unless you're holding it for at least 2 seconds or something like that. I don't know, because I think it would change the way you play, especially in PvP. Yeah. I think it would change a lot in PvP. I want to get better with bows in PvP. I'm really not very good at them. I've become very, very bad in PvP. I think it would be fun to kind of play around with that a little bit. I wouldn't use something like that necessarily in PvE, mostly because I have my HUD off, and that would be really hard to tell.
Right.
But I think it would change how people play with bows, at least in PvP. I think it would be fun to have something like another perk, and I realize it's not bow specific, but where I feel silly. I feel silly coming up with like perk ideas. Something like would be called head over your heart, head over heart. And it would be get a body shot and then rapidly get a precision kill. And then the next shot that you get, next body shot would count as a precision kill, like without reloading. Well, obviously with a bow you reload, but within a certain amount of time, it would count as a crit shot. It wouldn't give you like, so if you get, if it procs, you wouldn't get extra damage on a crit, but you would get extra damage on a body shot.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that you would have to take the time to get a body shot and then before you just go for the regular headshot.
Right.
To then have it proc to be able to then get it rather than just kill an enemy with a headshot. I mean, you have to mentally take a step back so that you get 2 shots. You can't just kill it right away.
Right.
So I think that could be fun.
Yeah. That sounds interesting to me. And that sounds like something that might be, I guess maybe you'd try that out on like an exotic maybe first. Call it Heartbreaker.
Oh, that's fun.
There you go. I
was thinking like, that's not really bow specific. I could use that on a pulse.
Right.
Kind of like Headseeker, it brings, it widens,
Mm-hmm.
the crit area. This one would not worry about widening it, but you'd have to actually get 2 separate shots on the same enemy within a certain amount of time. So it still takes skill. It would be harder in PvP because it's like you have to get a body shot and then a headshot. Yeah.
But yeah. Sounds fun. P-Stabs asks, do you feel locked into using bows now? It's clearly a thing that you're known for, but are you scared even a little bit of bow getting stale or of switching it up? I think we talked about that. You do switch it up. You play with pulses. You play sometimes with auto rifles. It's just you're known for rocking bows.
I almost always have a bow equipped.
Mm-hmm.
It's my thing. Not like it's my thing, like, I'm known for it, but I love it. I always want to play with a bow. I guess I do play with other things. In Gambit, I can't use Levy's Breath because I use Malfeasance.
Mm-hmm.
And I use Levy's Breath as much as I can, but I can't use like Lay Monarch if I'm using Levy's Breath. So I like using that. I know that's another bow.
Mm-hmm.
But I like using Symmetry a lot. Actually, I know that a lot of people don't even really remember that one.
Oh, yeah.
That exotic.
My brain just bent over backwards trying to remember it.
I call it the Avatar gun because it glows blue. I'm really bad with names of weapons, so I just always called it the Avatar gun, and people are like, what?
It's a mech that also has a knife.
Kind of, yeah. See?
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I forgot completely about that. I've got that somewhere. Maybe I don't have many weapons. Maybe I should break it out.
Yeah, you don't. Just go grab it. Play with it. But I'm afraid that my content, I am nervous. I'm very, very nervous about using bows all the time. And it's not as people may think. I'm nervous that my content is going to get stale for other people. Not that bows will get stale for me or that
like somebody will be like, yeah, we get it. Like you're the bow lady.
Yeah.
Like that.
Where it's like, kind of, yeah, where it's, we've seen her run this dungeon over and over and over again with the same exact loadout. And the thing is I enjoy it. I could run it over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And then again and again. So I wouldn't say it's an obsession. It's just something that I really, really enjoy doing. And if I'm going to play a game, it's a game.
Yeah.
I want to play it the way I play it, you know? So I'm afraid that it's going to get stale for other people.
Yeah.
Because I want to do I've already done a solo flawless all bow no HUD back to back to back to back, 4 backs of all the dungeons. I think it was early December, with exception of duality because of the bugs. So I did that one. I'd like to do it. And there's a lot of people that are doing like little, what did someone call it? A gauntlet.
Yeah.
For all 6 of the dungeons recently. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that people are doing that. People thought I was so crazy. And now people are doing it. And I'm like, oh, I'm not the only crazy one. I'd like to do that again now that duality is not as buggy and we have a 6th one out. But that requires doing the dungeons over and over and over again. So it's kind of going to be at some point, how can I keep it fresh for people, but still stay true to what I want to do?
Yeah. That's always the tough thing about like being a creator. It's like, because you want to like, it feels like there needs to be some sort of novelty, right? In order to kind of get your head just kind of above the water so you can start treading it when you're making something.
Yeah.
And like you kind of find your niche, and like it is very tempting to just do that niche always. but it doesn't always work out that way, you know? So like I feel that on a very spiritual level.
I'm not alone. Good.
Yeah. This laugh is only going to carry me so far. Somebody's going to catch on that I'm a talentless hack. And then it's
one thing,
then it's curtains.
people are like, you're such a cracked gamer. You're so good at this game.
Yeah.
And I am very, very flattered by that. I don't like to brag, but I am like absolutely amazing at what I do. But if you put me on Arc Hunter, Solar Hunter, Stasis Hunter, anything Warlock, anything Titan, give me something with green ammo, I'm not going to get very far at all. At all. Give me a Lorelei Titan. Ask me to solo a dungeon. People say that they're unkillable. Yeah, no, I guarantee you.
You'll find the limits of that restoration times too.
I will find ways to prove you wrong.
There's for a charity incentive one year, I did a year of Titan. That was on the docket, where if we hit a certain amount, I would do a year of Titan. And as a former hunter main, that was something that it changed my play style. It probably made me a little bit more reckless, because Titans can be a little bit more tanky and a little bit more in that aggressive side. It also, when I got done with it, I was like, I don't think I'm a main anymore of anything. Like, I'm going to try to get better at all these things. It kind of created this other personal challenge. That was...
And some people are like, well, you want more challenging game. Say that you're bad with a sniper. I am very bad with a sniper. Practice with a sniper, but that's just...
It's a different game than the one that you're
not
into.
What I want to do. Yeah. And that's on me. That's completely on me. But as we've proved with champions, telling me to use a certain thing and saying that's increased difficulty is much different than actually difficult content. I'm not saying I'm bored with what's going on. I'm saying that what I'm not bored with might be stale for someone else.
Yeah. I can see that, man. Last question for the night, given to us by Clancy 5000. How much mental planning and thought do you give solo dungeons when you're not actually playing? All right, example, like, are you thinking of it while you're washing the dishes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I will talk through it. Sometimes I take notes.
Mm-hmm.
Like actual physical notes. I have multiple notebooks. If I'm unsure, sometimes I'll take notes in pencil so I can erase some of it and change it.
Yeah.
It's...
Go ahead.
I put a lot into it.
Yeah.
A lot.
Because
I spent so mumuch time in there, it's unkind.
It kind of becomes muscle memory at a certain extent. Like when I ran, because last season I did Grasp. What was the other one? I did Grasp. I almost finished Duality, but it became like a huge slog. I think I did Prophecy last season too as a Titan, as a Restoration ×3 Titan, before they nerfed it down to ×2. But during Duality, going back to the notes thing, I'm showing you here in our comms, but like during the vault encounter, I had to write. I made this little map for myself. Like I drew it out, and whenever I got to that point, I just threw it up on top of the monitor. It's like a folded piece of paper that just says Dog Sun on one side, Axe Cup on another side, with high and low for the bells, so I could keep track of, okay, here's kind of the rotation that I need to do. And you kind of just start building that and ingraining that into your body and into your muscles, so that you can execute it better and better every time. And sometimes you completely mess up because becoming tired is a thing. But
yes,
I
made a story for the vault encounter.
Yeah. What was your story?
Duality. My story was, so you start to the right of the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get a dog, but you have to build a doghouse first. So you have to get axes to chop wood to build the doghouse. Then you can get a dog. Once you get the dog is going to play outside in the sunshine. But you have to make sure that it stays hydrated, so you give it a cup of water.
Incredible. That's a pretty incredible story there.
Yep.
Oh my God.
I told a lot of stories in Duality. That was a different experience altogether.
Yeah. There's something about that and Vow of the Disciple. There's something, I must have something with color palettes, because something in both of those, they just kind of wear me out and make me angry.
Is it the red?
I think that it's something about it. Like, it could be like the amount of time that you spend in there. It could be just the red all the time. But it's just the only time that I typically tend to lose my cool in activities is in those two. And yeah, that could be anecdotal, but it's been my experience that I tend to be the most testy around those.
That Kaido fight was something else for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Thanks, Backpacks.
I don't think I've ever lost my cool that much.
Yeah.
Ever.
I feel your pain, sister. I feel your pain. Well, Sammy, thank you so much for coming and hanging out. Thank you so much for getting through the technical difficulties with me today. And I appreciate you giving your time here. Where can people find you on the internet?
Twitch, actually. Twitch.tv/Samikat. And then also, I'm on TikTok and Twitter. I post quite a bit of my stuff there as well. So Samikat Plays. TikTok might be Samikat. Assume if it's not Samikat, it's Samikat Plays. Yes.
My name's Danfinity. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram and the TikTok at Danfinity, where the eyes are L's. You can also find me on Twitch 3 days a week, twitch.tv/Danfinity, helping Guardians out with PvE and game activities. If you'd like to support the show, remember that you can rate and review on your podcast platform of choice. Anything you say helps us in the algorithm. And if you'd like to give us $3 a month to help keep the lights on, you can head on over to coffee.com/Danfinity. That is ko-fi.com/Danfinity. All the links are in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you find what you're grinding for.